The emails glowed on Troy's phone like evidence at a crime scene. Jessica read them again, her hands numb, her breath shallow. The break room fluorescent lights hummed overhead, too bright, too cruel. We'll have her pitch the campaign we've already agreed on. Make her think it was her idea. The promotion will keep her distracted and grateful. Ethan's words. 3 months ago. Before the gala. Before the kiss. Before everything. Jess, say something. Troy's voice came from somewhere far away. She couldn't. Her throat had closed. The man who'd touched her like she was precious, who'd whispered secrets in the dark, who'd told her about his dead mother, had planned it all. The promotion. The gala. Her. There's more, Troy said, scrolling further. The Morrison campaign wasn't yours. It was already designed. He just let you present it. The coffee she'd drunk earlier rose in her throat. Every moment replayed in her mind, now poisoned. His intensity. His hunger. His confession about Natalie's father. Had any of it been real? Why? The word barely escaped. Why would he do this? Troy's face twisted with something like pity. I don't know. But Jess, you need to confront him. Or report him. Or just get out. This is wrong on every level. Jessica's phone buzzed. A text from Ethan, my office. Now. Her blood turned to ice. Did he know? Had Troy's late-night snooping triggered some alert? Or was this just another manipulation, another piece of his game? Don't go, Troy said, reading her face. Not alone. But Jessica was already moving. Her heels clicked against the marble floor as she walked toward Ethan's office, each step echoing like a countdown. 3 weeks of stolen kisses. 3 weeks of believing she was special. 3 weeks of being someone's fool. His door was open. Ethan stood at the window, hands in his pockets, silhouetted against the Manhattan skyline. Just like that first day. Like nothing had changed. Everything had changed. Close the door, he said without turning. She obeyed, her hand trembling on the handle. The click sounded like a prison lock. I know you've seen the emails. His voice was flat. Empty. Troy's computer access left a trail. Jessica's heart hammered against her ribs. So it's true. All of it. Ethan finally turned. His face was unreadable, a mask she suddenly realized she'd never seen behind. Yes. The word landed like a slap. No explanation. No defense. Just yes. The campaign. The promotion. Was any of it real? Her voice cracked. The promotion was real. You earned it. His dark eyes fixed on hers. The rest was strategy. Strategy. The word tasted like poison. And us? The gala? Your apartment? Your mother? Something flickered across his face. Pain, maybe. Or just another performance. My mother was real. Her death was real. Everything else was necessary. Necessary for what? Ethan moved closer, and Jessica fought the urge to back away. You were getting too curious. Too close to asking the wrong questions. I needed to redirect your attention. Make you complicit. Make you mine. The casual cruelty of it stole her breath. You used me. I protected my interests. That's what people like me do, Jessica. We identify threats and neutralize them. I was never a threat. I was just someone who worked for you. You were someone who noticed too much. His jaw tightened. The Henderson merger. The offshore accounts. The encrypted files. You were 3 steps away from discovering something that would destroy everything I've built. Jessica's mind raced. What had she almost found? What was worth this level of deception? What are you hiding, Ethan? His smile was cold, nothing like the broken, beautiful expression from the gala. The same thing I've always hidden. The truth. Which is that some monsters don't have consciences after all. He returned to his desk, picking up a folder. Your severance package. 6 months' salary. Excellent references. And an NDA that will financially ruin you if you speak about anything you've learned here. The folder landed on the desk between them like a death sentence. You're firing me. I'm setting you free. Take the deal, Jessica. Walk away. Forget everything. Her hands clenched into fists. And if I don't? Ethan's eyes went dark. Dangerous. Then I'll destroy you the way I destroyed everyone else who got in my way. And unlike with Natalie's father, there won't be a noble reason. Just survival. The room tilted. The man she'd kissed, the man she'd started to love, was offering her a choice, her silence or her life. I need time, she whispered. You have until morning. He turned back to the window, dismissing her. After that, the offer expires and things get ugly. Jessica grabbed the folder with shaking hands and walked to the door. Her fingers touched the handle when his voice stopped her. For what it's worth, some of it was real. She didn't turn around. Which parts? Silence stretched between them like a chasm. That's what you'll spend the rest of your life wondering. The door closed behind her. Jessica stood in the hallway, the folder clutched to her chest, her heart in pieces. She'd thought she was falling in love. Instead, she'd been falling into a trap. And now she had a choice to make. Walk away with her dignity and her silence, or fight back and risk losing everything. The elevator doors opened. Jessica stepped inside. She still had 12 hours to decide who she wanted to be. Ethan's apartment smelled like expensive whiskey and rain. Jessica stood at the floor-to-ceiling windows, watching lightning fracture the sky over Central Park. Behind her, she heard him approach, felt the heat of him before his hands settled on her waist. You're quiet tonight, he murmured against her neck. She should have been paying attention to the warning signs. The locked office drawers. The encrypted laptop. The way his phone screen went dark whenever she came near. Instead, she'd been drowning in the way he touched her, like she was the answer to a question he'd stopped asking years ago. Just thinking, she said. About? About how this doesn't make sense. About how someone like you doesn't fall for someone like me this fast. About the Henderson files I saw on your desk before you closed them. About how I ended up here. Ethan turned her to face him. His dark eyes searched hers, and she wondered what he saw. A conquest? A liability? Or something that had surprised him as much as it surprised her? Regrets already? His thumb traced her bottom lip. Should I have them? He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Probably. The honesty should have chilled her. Instead, it made her reckless. She pulled him down, kissing him hard, desperate to silence the doubts multiplying in her mind. His hands tangled in her hair, and for a moment, nothing else existed. Then his phone rang. The third time that night. Ethan pulled away, checking the screen. His entire body went rigid. I need to take this. At midnight? It's important. He moved to the bedroom, closing the door. Jessica stood alone in the living room, her lips still burning. The rational part of her brain, the part she'd been ignoring for 3 weeks, started screaming. She moved toward his desk before she could stop herself. Papers scattered across the polished surface. Financial reports. Acquisition proposals. And there, half hidden beneath a contract, a folder labeled Henderson. Her hands moved on their own. Inside were emails. offshore account numbers, shell corporations, and a list of names she recognized from the news. Politicians, businessmen, people connected to trafficking investigations. Jessica. She spun around. Ethan stood in the bedroom doorway, his face carved from stone. That's confidential. His voice was deadly calm. What is this? She held up the folder. What are you involved in? He moved toward her slowly, like approaching a wounded animal. Put it down. Tell me the truth. The real truth, not whatever story you've been feeding me. Ethan stopped 3 feet away. Lightning lit his face, and she saw it then. The calculation. The cold assessment of threat level. The exact moment he decided how to handle her. I told you I destroyed Natalie's father to save those women. That was true. He gestured to the folder. This is the aftermath. The evidence I've been protecting. The case that's still ongoing. Then why hide it from me? Because the fewer people who know, the safer everyone is. Including you. Jessica's grip tightened on the papers. I don't believe you. Then you're smarter than I thought. He reached for the folder. But not smart enough to walk away when you should have. She jerked back. What's that supposed to mean? It means you fell in love with a ghost, Jessica. A carefully constructed performance designed to keep you close and compliant while I figured out how much you knew. The words punched the air from her lungs. You're lying. Am I? He tilted his head. Did you really think someone like me would fall for someone like you? In 3 weeks? Be honest with yourself. Tears burned her eyes. You said you were tired of pretending. You said I was different. I said what you needed to hear. He took the folder from her numb hands. What everyone needs to hear to feel special. It's remarkably easy, actually. Find someone lonely, someone hungry for validation, someone smart enough to be useful but naive enough to trust. Stop it. You wanted the truth. His face was a mask. Here it is. This was always strategy. The gala, the promotion, us. All of it designed to neutralize a potential problem. Jessica backed away, hitting the window. What problem? I didn't know anything. Not yet. But you were asking questions. Getting close to files you shouldn't have access to. I needed to redirect your attention. Make you grateful. Make you complicit. He set the folder down. It worked perfectly until you decided to play detective. You're a monster. I told you that at the gala. You chose not to believe me. He moved closer, and she saw something flicker in his eyes. Regret? Or just disappointment that his plan had failed? Now you have a choice. Walk away and keep your mouth shut. Or become a problem I have to solve permanently. Are you threatening me? I'm giving you the same mercy I gave those women in the shipping containers. A way out. Take it. Thunder shook the windows. Jessica stared at the man she'd kissed hours ago, the man whose bed she'd slept in, and saw a stranger. Worse, she saw the truth she'd been avoiding. This had never been real. I want to leave. Smart girl. He stepped aside, gesturing to the door. Forget everything you saw. Forget me. Move on with your life. She grabbed her purse, her hands shaking so badly she could barely hold it. At the door, she stopped. Was any of it real? Even one moment? Silence stretched between them. Then, so quietly she almost missed it, does it matter? Jessica looked back at him, standing in his perfect apartment with his perfect lies. No. I guess it doesn't. She left. The elevator ride down felt like falling. When she reached the street, rain soaked through her dress in seconds, cold and cleansing. She walked for blocks, not caring where she went, trying to understand how she'd been so blind. Her phone buzzed. A text from Troy, "Where are you? We need to talk." I found more emails. Jessica's fingers hovered over the keyboard. She could ignore it. Take Ethan's advice. Walk away. Survive. Or she could find out exactly what she'd stumbled into. And why Ethan Blackwell was willing to break her heart to keep it hidden. She typed back, "Send them." Whatever came next, she was done being manipulated. Done being the naive girl who believed in fairy tales. Ethan had taught her one valuable lesson tonight. Everyone was playing a game. She just hadn't known the rules. Now she was going to learn. The emerald gown had cost Jessica a month's rent. Standing in front of her mirror, she told herself it was an investment. Professional development. Not desperation to look perfect for a man who probably wouldn't notice. The lie tasted bitter. When the black car pulled up at 7 sharp, her breath caught. Ethan emerged in a tuxedo that made him look like Sin dressed in silk. His dark eyes swept over her with an intensity that made her skin burn. "Jessica." His voice dropped an octave. "You look devastating." Not beautiful. Devastating. Like she was dangerous. Like she mattered. "Thank you. You look handsome." He offered his arm. "Shall we? I promise to make this evening worth your while." The Metropolitan Museum had transformed into something from a dream. Crystal chandeliers threw prisms across marble. Women in couture glided past like elegant ghosts. Ethan's hand rested on the small of her back, warm and possessive, and Jessica felt the walls she'd built over 3 years start to crack. "Ethan." A silver-haired man approached. "Good to see you. And who is this stunning creature?" "George Hammond, this is Jessica Carter. My marketing director." "Director. Not coordinator." Jessica's eyes snapped to his face. "Director?" George raised an eyebrow. "I thought Sarah held that position." "Sarah resigned last week. Jessica's been effectively running the department for 6 months. I'm just making it official." The world tilted. This was the first she'd heard of it. George wandered off discussing investments, but Jessica barely registered the words. "Director?" She turned to Ethan when they were alone. "You didn't tell me Sarah resigned." "I'm telling you now." He plucked 2 champagne flutes from a passing waiter. "The promotion comes with a 30% raise and a corner office." "Congratulations." "Ethan, I don't understand. Why now? Why like this?" His jaw tightened. "Because you earned it. And because I'm done pretending." "Pretending what?" Before he could answer, a woman's voice sliced through the air. "Ethan Blackwell. Still breaking hearts, I see." The brunette in the blood-red gown moved like a predator. Her smile could draw blood. "Natalie." Ethan's entire body went rigid. "It's been 2 years. And who is this?" Natalie's green eyes slid to Jessica. "Another temporary distraction?" "Leave." Steel-edged Ethan's voice. But Natalie moved closer, her perfume overwhelming. "Did he tell you about me? About us? About what he did?" "That's enough." "She doesn't know, does she? Poor thing." Natalie's laugh was cruel. "Let me guess. He's been mysterious and intense. Made you feel special. Made you think you were different." Jessica's stomach twisted. "You're not different, sweetheart. You're just another name on a very long list. Ethan Blackwell doesn't do relationships. He does acquisitions. And once he owns you, he destroys you. Get out." Ethan's voice dropped to a lethal whisper. "Now." "Why? Afraid she'll learn the truth?" Natalie leaned close to Jessica. That he leaked my father's company secrets to the press? That he ruined my family to win a business deal? That he's not some misunderstood prince. He's a monster in a tailored suit. The ground shifted beneath Jessica's feet. Ethan's face had gone white. That's not what happened. Isn't it? Natalie's smile turned vicious. Ask him about the Henderson merger. Ask him what he did to my father's company. Then ask yourself if you really want to be his next victim. She walked away, leaving poison in her wake. Jessica turned to Ethan slowly. Is it true? It's complicated. Is it true? His dark eyes met hers, and for the first time, she saw something broken behind them. Something wounded and dangerous and utterly human. Yes. I destroyed her father's company. The admission hit like a physical blow. Why? Ethan set down his champagne with a click like a gunshot. Because he was trafficking women through his shipping containers. Because the authorities needed evidence, and I was the only one who could get close enough to find it. Because sometimes, Jessica, doing the right thing means becoming the villain. Air left her lungs. I lost everything. His voice turned raw. My reputation. My relationship with Natalie. Half my investors. But 23 women went home to their families because of what I did. So yes, I'm a monster. But I'm a monster with a conscience. Jessica stared at him, her mind reeling. Why didn't you defend yourself? Why let everyone believe you're heartless? Because the truth would have compromised an ongoing investigation. And because some secrets are more important than my reputation. He stepped closer. But I'm telling you now because I'm tired of hiding. Tired of pretending I don't feel things I shouldn't feel. Tired of watching you create theories about me to keep yourself safe. Safe from what? From this. Then Ethan Blackwell kissed her. It wasn't gentle. It was desperate and hungry and tasted like champagne and secrets. His hands cupped her face like she was something precious, something breakable, and 3 years of walls crumbled into dust. When he pulled back, his forehead rested against hers. I'm damaged goods, Jessica. Everything Natalie said about me destroying what I touch is true. So if you walk away right now, I won't stop you. But if you stay, I need you to understand what you're getting into. Jessica's hands fisted in his lapels. Show me. Show me who you really are. His smile was beautiful and broken. Careful what you wish for. He took her hand and led her toward the exit, leaving the gala and its glittering lies behind. Jessica followed, knowing with absolute certainty that nothing would ever be the same. She didn't care. What she didn't know, what she couldn't see as they walked into the night, was that Ethan's phone was recording. Every word. Every confession. Every moment she'd believed was real. And somewhere in a darkened office across the city, Troy watched the live feed with satisfaction. Phase 2 was complete. 10 minutes felt like 10 seconds. Jessica stood outside Ethan's office, her palms slick with sweat, her heart trying to escape her chest. Through the frosted glass, she could see his silhouette at the window. Waiting. She knocked. Come in. The office was everything she'd mocked in the break room. Sleek, beautiful, controlled. Ethan stood with his hands in his pockets, silhouetted against the Manhattan skyline. Close the door. She obeyed, her hand trembling. The Morrison campaign. He didn't turn around. I reviewed your proposal. Excellent work. Jessica blinked. Thank you, sir. You have a gift. You understand what people want before they know it themselves. It's why I value you. She waited for the hammer to fall. But I'm curious. Ethan finally turned to face her. Do you always speculate about your employer's personal life? Or am I special? Heat flooded her cheeks. Mr. Blackwell, I'm sorry. That was unprofessional, and I. Why does it matter to you? He stopped 3 feet away. My personal life. Why invest so much energy into theories about who I am or who I'm attracted to? I don't understand. Don't you? His eyes locked onto hers. People who obsess over making someone unavailable in their minds usually do it for a reason. They're protecting themselves from something or someone. Jessica's breath caught. Are you protecting yourself from me, Jessica? The air between them felt electric. Dangerous. I think I should go, she whispered. Answer the question first. She looked up at him, really looked, and saw something in his expression she'd never noticed before. Something raw, hungry, barely restrained. I don't know, she breathed. Ethan's mouth curved into the faintest smile. Liar. He stepped back, the professional mask sliding into place. The charity gala is next Friday. I need someone who can network with potential clients. You'll attend as my guest. Consider it professional development. Jessica's mind reeled. You want me to go with you? Formal attire. I'll pick you up at 7. He returned to his desk. That's all. She turned toward the door, her legs barely holding her. Jessica. She froze. If you're curious about my personal life, ask me directly next time. The truth might surprise you. The door closed behind her. Jessica stood in the hallway, her heart pounding so hard she thought it might break through her ribs. What had just happened? She made it to the bathroom before her hands started shaking. Leaning against the sink, she stared at her reflection. Flushed cheeks. Wide eyes. The look of someone who'd just stepped off a cliff and discovered they could fly. Or fall. Her phone buzzed. A text from Rachel, OMG, are you okay? What happened? Then Vanessa, girl, tell me everything. Jessica deleted both messages. How could she explain what she didn't understand herself? That her cold, distant boss had just looked at her like she was the only person in the world. That the air between them had crackled with something dangerous and intoxicating. That she was terrified and exhilarated and completely out of her depth. Another buzz. This time from an unknown number. Congratulations on the gala invite. Ethan Blackwell doesn't extend personal invitations lightly. Be careful what you wish for. Jessica's blood ran cold. Who was this? How did they know? She typed back, who is this? No response. The bathroom door opened. Rachel peeked in, her face tight with concern. Jess? Everyone's talking. They heard shouting. There was no shouting. Then what happened? You've been in here for 20 minutes. Had she? Jessica checked her phone. 23 minutes since she'd left Ethan's office. Time had stopped meaning anything. He invited me to a gala. Rachel's eyes went wide. As in a date? Professional development. With formal attire and a personal pickup? Rachel grabbed her shoulders. Jess, that's a date. A very expensive, very public date with your boss who you were just calling emotionally unavailable. I know. Do you? Because this feels like playing with fire. Rich, powerful, devastatingly attractive fire. Jessica met her friend's eyes. What if I want to get burned? Rachel's expression shifted from concern to something like fear. Then you better be prepared for the scars. The words echoed in Jessica's mind as she returned to her desk. Her computer screen showed the Morrison campaign proposal, the one Ethan had praised. Excellent work. You have a gift. She opened her email to find a new message from him. Subject line, Gala details. Her finger hovered over the mouse. This was the moment. She could ignore it. Pretend the invitation had never happened. Keep her distance and her dignity and her safe, predictable life. Or she could open it. She clicked. The email was brief, professional, and signed simply, E. But at the bottom, in smaller text, was a P.S., I meant what I said. The truth might surprise you. Jessica's heart hammered. What truth? That he was attracted to her? That the tension between them wasn't one-sided? That beneath his cold exterior lived someone capable of feeling? Or something else entirely? Her phone buzzed again. The unknown number. Ask him about Natalie Henderson. Ask him what happened to her father's company. Ask him why he's really inviting you to that gala. Jessica's hands went numb. She looked up, scanning the office. Dozens of people working at their desks. Any one of them could be watching. Waiting. She typed back, "What do you want?" This time, the response was immediate, "To save you from making the same mistake she did." The coffee in the break room was bitter, but Jessica Carter barely noticed. She was too busy running her mouth. "I'm just saying," she whispered to Rachel, leaning against the counter. 3 years and not one date. Not one woman at any company event. The man is either married to his work or he's just not interested in women. Rachel giggled nervously. "Jess, you can't just assume that because someone dresses well and knows about design. It's not just that." Last month, he spent 20 minutes discussing thread counts with the decorator. Thread counts, Rachel. And did you see his office? That's not a straight man's office. That's museum-quality curation. Vanessa chimed in from the doorway. What else could it be? Jessica shrugged, adjusting her glasses. Maybe he's just unavailable. Emotionally closed off. Damaged goods. Either way, Ethan Blackwell is not someone any of us should waste time fantasizing about. Is that what you tell yourself? The voice came from directly behind her. Deep, controlled, laced with something sharp. Jessica's blood turned to ice. She turned slowly to find Ethan standing in the doorway, his charcoal suit immaculate, his dark eyes fixed on her with an intensity that made her stomach drop. His jaw was tight, but his expression remained eerily calm. Rachel fled. Vanessa disappeared. The break room emptied in seconds. Jessica stood alone with her boss, her coffee cup trembling in her hand. My office. Ethan's voice was quiet. 10 minutes. He turned and walked away, leaving Jessica drowning in suffocating silence. Those 10 minutes felt like 10 seconds. When she knocked on his door, her palms were slick with sweat. What she didn't know, what she couldn't possibly know, was that this moment would split her life into before and after. That in 10 minutes, she would walk into that office as one person and emerge as someone else entirely. She didn't know that Ethan had been waiting for this. That he'd orchestrated her proximity to those files, that conversation, this exact confrontation. That she was already 3 moves deep in a game she hadn't known she was playing. She didn't know that Troy, her friend, her confidant, had been feeding Ethan information for months. That the unknown number warning her was Natalie, trying to save someone from her own fate. She didn't know that the emails she would eventually find were both real and manufactured. That some truths would be lies, and some lies would be truth, and she would never be certain which was which. She didn't know that Ethan Blackwell was exactly what she'd called him, damaged goods. A man so broken by his past that he'd learned to break others first. A monster who sometimes did monstrous things for complicated reasons. A man who would fall in love with her and hate himself for it. She didn't know that in 3 weeks, she would stand in his apartment reading about offshore accounts and trafficking investigations, unable to tell if she was looking at evidence of heroism or criminality. She didn't know that at the gala, Natalie's warnings would be both completely true and utterly false. That Ethan had destroyed her father's company, but not for the reasons Natalie believed. That sometimes victims became villains, and villains became saviors, and everyone was just surviving their own trauma. She didn't know that when Ethan kissed her, it would be the most genuine thing he'd done in years. That falling in love with her would terrify him more than any business deal or legal investigation. That he would push her away to protect her, then pull her back because he couldn't help himself. She didn't know that Troy's betrayal was motivated by love. That he'd been in love with her for 2 years, watching Ethan manipulate her, and finally deciding to burn it all down. That the emails he showed her were real, but taken out of context. That his heroism was just another form of possession. She didn't know that the choice she would face in 12 hours, standing in that hallway with the severance package, would be impossible. That walking away meant abandoning the investigation Ethan was actually protecting. That staying meant risking everything for a man who'd lied to her from the start. She didn't know that the truth was bigger than both of them. That Ethan's company was the cover for an international task force bringing down trafficking networks. That every cold decision, every calculated move, every heart he'd broken was in service of something that actually mattered. She didn't know that loving him would require forgiving the unforgivable. That he would spend the rest of his life trying to earn her trust back. That some wounds never fully heal, but you learn to live with the scars. She didn't know any of this as she knocked on his door. But she was about to find out. And years later, when she would stand at a different window in a different apartment, wearing a ring that cost more than her old salary, watching Ethan sleep with his arm thrown across the space where she should be, she would remember this moment. The moment before everything changed. The moment when she was still naive enough to believe in simple answers. Good people and bad people. Truth and lies. Love and manipulation. Before she learned that life was infinitely more complicated. That people were capable of tremendous good and terrible harm, sometimes in the same breath. That love didn't fix damage, it just gave you a reason to keep trying. That Ethan Blackwell was a monster with a conscience. And that she loved him anyway. Not because he was perfect. Not because he'd never hurt her. But because in a world of easy lies, he'd given her the hard truth. Even when it destroyed them both. She knocked on the door. "Come in." Jessica took a breath and stepped inside. And the story began. The end.